Member Wilson to give the opening prayer, and then if you would all rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads before thee once again at this planning and zoning meeting. We invite your spirit to attend us as we discuss the matters of the county that come to our attention. We would invite your spirit to attend us in terms of wisdom and how to deal with things and bring to our attention what we need to look at. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to live in this great county and the great people who live here. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved, Madam Chair.
I have a motion by Member Wilson
Second.
and a second by Member Bishop. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. The next is the declaration of conflict of interest. Do any planning commission members have a conflict with any item on the agenda? Seeing none. Move on. The next item is public comment time. Those in the public, we have one administrative item that will not have a public hearing. If you'd like to speak regarding Wasatch Peaks Ranch Concept 3, now will be the time for you to do that. But we do have a legislative item, and that is a code text amendment, but that's a special public hearing, and if you'd like to speak on that, we request that you reserve that opportunity to the time of the public hearing. You're also welcome to make any other public comment to the Planning Commission regarding any other item you wish to right now. So if you'd like, have anything to say, please come up to the lectern.
Madam Chair, we got two students that are doing something for class, and thought maybe we could hear you, since you're wise and whatnot, explain a little bit what the Planning Commission is.
Well, maybe if you'd like to come up and introduce yourselves. I'll put you, thank you. I'll turn it on them.
Chicken.
I'll say whatever I want. If I have a microphone, I might as well.
Name and
My name's Ronan Ratchford. My dad's actually the general manager of Snow Basin, so he knows a lot about the planning commission and like the county as a whole. We were tasked with an assignment for our poli-sci class to attend one of our council meetings and write about what it is they're doing and understand our internal government of our state.
Okay.
Your turn.
My name is Willa Anderton, and yeah, that's kind of just what he said, honestly.
Okay. Well, as a planning commission, we are appointed by the county commission. Most of the items, we're just a recommending body. We recommend approval or denial to the planning commission. To the county commission. There are some items where we're the land use authority, where we actually make the approval on some conditional use permits and some small subdivisions, less than 10 lots. But the majority of the time, we just recommend, and then the county commission would be the final approval.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you.
sorry to put you on the spot.
Okay, we'll move on to our first agenda item, is the Wasatch Peaks Ranch Concept 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening to the members of the Planning Commission. Wasatch Peaks Ranch Concept 3 is application 24.040. The applicant who is in the audience tonight, Madam Chair, is Ed Schultz, among some of his cohort. The owner is the Wasatch Peaks Ranch LLC for this application. Is approximately located at 5086 West Wasatch Peaks Road. The zoning is a resort special district with the applicable development agreement. The acreage affected by tonight's request, Madam Chair, is 60.60 acres. and it's a request for a concept plan for subdivision of 8 lots. Staff has conducted a review following the standards as outlined in 155.400 of the Morgan County Code. A through M is a checklist, Madam Chair, that staff follows and encourages the engineers and surveyors for such a project to follow as well, and it's what we base our review on. And in all aspects of the review, the concept plan as submitted meets all of the minimum requirements of our code. The subdivision for 8 lots includes larger ranch parcels, as has been kind of designated by the applicant. And these parcels will range between 3 to about 10 acres at the largest. Otherwise, again, staff recommends approval of this concept plan and a request for approval of a concept plan. And I'm happy to answer any questions the body has tonight. Thank you.
Any questions for staff?
Jeremy, do you know why this wasn't done with the original?
There's phases.
Okay.
This is the most recent concept plan to go through was concept 2. And that was done last year. This is concept 3, and particularly pertains to plat 3C, which, if gone all the way to final plat, is what would be recorded.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
So, just so I understand, they're asking for larger lots than they had approved originally, right?
These would be the largest, yes.
And so, is there any negatives to that for the county in terms of larger sizes that enable them to put anything that would be of concern to the county?
No,
To me, I look at them as their own little community or city, so I don't.
Sure. And you think of the historic use on the property, and this is probably the one thing that most closely aligns. And I'd be happy to defer to the applicant more on that particular question. But yeah, this is at the southern end of the property. Think of the location of the golf course too, and so you'll have a lot of this. Not to use the incorrect term of open space, but you will have a lot of these larger parcels here, gaining access to the golf course close by. I think there's the location is the reason I'm doing it this way. Thank you.
Can you put the next page where the concept is? Okay. Any questions for the applicant? I just have one. So, who's, neither one, they're drawing straws.
You go. No, you go. Sorry about that.
You're worse than the students.
Maybe I can get their help here.
A class assignment. Okay. It refers to the table. On the table, it only has listed 8 lots in G, but there's really 13 because you have other G lots that were in the other concept in Plat 3A. I'm just thinking of the tallies.
That was clarified with Josh. He wanted us to have just the 8 lots that we were planning to do in this phase. Originally, we were kind of adding some additional lots that, once we had a discussion with him, he felt like they did not need to be included in this. So this is kind of a refinement. There might be some language in some of the staff notes that miss being cleaned up. If that's adding to your confusion, but I think as far as the plat itself or the concept plan, it is showing just the 8. And if you look at our table,
But the table's a total tally of the whole resort, so shouldn't the G reflect 13 and not 8?
No, because in the G parcels, we're at this point we only have 8.
I thought you had Gs in
Those are shown in the other sections of the, like if you look at concept 2. Are you, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but for concept 3, we are only showing the.
Okay,
So the G parcels, is that what you're talking about, Debbie, at the bottom of this, where it says, you're saying there's 5 and 8? So you're saying 13 total, not 8?
yes.
Because it
I-
shows Phase 3A and then Phase 3C.
I just want an accurate accounting of all,
5 lots
The
have
lots.
already been platted.
right.
Those
But
were
we're-
included with the recordation of 3A
But
and
they're-
M1 and 2A. So those were not,
But they're not accounted under G parcels. I'm just, and they were G parcels in 3A. Were they not, or did they get another
Designation.
designation? Yeah, another letter assigned to them?
yeah, I see the confusion. I know that Josh felt that because we had recorded those, we can update this chart but when Josh reviewed it, he felt like because those had already been recorded, they did not need to be included in this concept plan, so, we can probably update the chart itself to better reflect that.
Well, I'm not saying it has to be in the concept. I'm more with the chart
Yeah, we could update the chart.
to reflect the total tally that there are 13. I guess I'm,
Yeah, so the left-hand chart, Debbie, I think is the one you're having some trouble with, the 8, that's not accurate. If you go to the right, I think we were showing, yeah. Yeah, they're not reflecting the other ones.
The lower right chart is correct, Debbie. See the 5 under phase 3A that you recall? See that?
yeah,
That's
I'm
all
getting
these
there,
are.
yeah.
If you look at the lower right chart, you see 5 Gs previously
Right.
platted in
Yep.
3A, that's what you're recalling, right?
Right.
So that should be in concept plan 1 in the left-hand chart.
As well.
Yeah, okay,
So that's a good catch. Thank you.
okay. That's,
Sorry about that.
no, that's fine. That's fine. If there are no other questions, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll be happy to give you one. Fine. Madam Chair, I move we approve the WPR Concept 3 application number 24.040 for 8 lots within the Wasatch Peaks Ranch Resort Special District and consisting of 60.60 acres, generally located at approximately 5086 West Wasatch Peaks Road, and incorporated Morgan County based on the findings of the conditions listed in staff report dated October 10th, 2024.
I have a motion by Member Wilson. Is there a second? A second by Member Murray. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. It's unanimous. Okay, next item is our code text amendment.
Thank you, and Madam Chair, I'll address the students for a moment. So, where you actually have you picked a cool meeting to join because you just heard an administrative item. So that's where someone makes a request. They just have to follow our code. We review it as such, and then it gets approved. It has to get approved, but the body can make recommendations to help it be approved or something like that. So then, for the legislative, where we're at, this is involves a public hearing, and it's a request to change our code. And legislative means that the public's definitely involved in this one, where before in an administrative item, a public comment can be heard and considered, but perhaps doesn't carry the same weight, you could say. And so for this, Madam Chair, this is the LD Max Code Text Amendment, application number 24.056. The applicant is Zentner. I don't see him in the audience tonight, Madam Chair. The request is a code text amendment to allow airplane manufacturing and repair in the commercial buffer zone. Staff received an application from that applicant and has reviewed it as such, and finds it to be acceptable for code text amendments. And you all will have just gotten an email today providing a second option that may be perhaps more agreeable. The context for this application stems from an application that the applicant gave our office for a conditional use permit application, and there was just at least from that CUP application a few different requests, and the one that the applicant favored the most wasn't present in our code. So this option here tonight is to add a C1 designation to the aircraft manufacturing and repair row of the use regulations table. I'm not prepared to pull it up at this exact moment, but option B from the email that was sent to you would be to add a new designation to add light or minor aircraft manufacturing and repair, to have that be a C3 designation. So to be clear, that's a whole new row in the use table. It would be option B. The applicant provided a narrative, and otherwise staff is happy to answer questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Jeremy, what would you prefer from your perspective? A whole new use designation, a C3, the option that which I apologize I didn't see, but the one that came out today.
Well, I'll give you a non-answer and not give you a recommendation. I'll say that Josh Cook, who regrettably could not be here tonight, kind of requested that, he thought about it a little more, and maybe just changing the entire aircraft and manufacturing that could be applicable to other zones around the county may be problematic, and so then adding a new designation for minor or light manufacturing could be, like I said, more agreeable. And so that's why we added that option tonight, and it's up for discussion amongst the commission, of course.
How would you define minor and light versus just general manufacturing? I guess what's our threshold there? Because I feel like we kind of got into this last time with our conditional use permit comment that if we don't clearly define it, I think it can be broadly interpreted.
Definitions are important, and I would lean on the office of the county attorney to maybe talk about what would be the difference. And actually, a good person to ask would be the airport manager himself, who gets into such distinctions. And so I think collaboration in this case could be helpful. Staff just reviewed the application just as it came. Again, it's simple, and provided this staff report for you tonight.
Okay.
Maybe I think one of them has to deal more with creating, so a lot more like smelting, and you're going to have a lot more pollution, be heavy manufacturing, light manufacturing, more of assembly and type of work.
Yeah, I guess my point was we just should define that after our conversation last week about recreational versus permanent. So if we're going to do that, I think we need to also put that in, like what that.
Okay, there's commercial
quantifies.
buffer zones throughout the county, not just the airport. And commercial buffers to provide areas of appropriate transitions of commercial uses. And in our table currently, not one manufacturing is allowed, use is allowed in commercial buffer. Because is that appropriate transition? To me, manufacturing is not a transition. It's
I can certainly understand with heavy industry feeling that way. A light industry, if they're just making little pieces, what are you seeing there? I'm curious.
Well, it just, even small engine repair is not allowed in commercial buffer. So if we,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, if we're changing the code, it's gonna apply to the commercial zones everywhere in the county. Again, what is considered light or minor, I don't.
I should know this I don't. Can we not just make that to the airport? Because it got its own designation, airport authority, does it have to extend to everything?
It has to, yeah, because it's a commercial buffer zone.
I failed to give some context here. I'll jump in and just say that of the airport, as we know it, there is one parcel, not a lot, but a parcel that exists. And that's the property under the ownership of the applicants. And so an interesting case to be sure.
But there's commercial buffer in Peterson, and there's other commercial buffers, so it's,
But note the zoning of the airport, it's all commercial buffer with applicable overlays, but that is the underlying zoning. When that was zoned that way, I don't.
I mean, they don't even allow food manufacturing in the commercial buffer.
I think it might also have to do with hours of operation. If you have like second, third shift, now you're in this buffer zone where you've got work going on late at night. I'm trying to figure out why we, what makes it a buffer, and what the designations are for.
I think to Debbie's point, a buffer is so you have commercial and you have residential and there's a break in between.
The transition.
Yeah, but so if we allow it in this buffer zone, then it's allowed in every buffer zone because it's conditional use.
Yeah.
That's all that's defined.
But like if he wants to manufacture second shift, that's where it really becomes problematic.
Or it could be noise,
I was thinking noise.
Yeah, so traffic,
traffic, I mean, there's multiple.
parts in and out.
That's why they have a lot of, like a dental office, things that aren't,
What is our just regular commercial space? How much of that do we have in Morgan County?
it's mainly in Mountain Green. There's a lot of commercial zones.
Well, more industrial, let's just say
Industrial-
manufacturing.
Industrial, we have the cement plant. Light manufacturing's kind of where Browning is.
Okay. So he's close to Browning.
On the other side of the airport, yes. He's right across the street from Holmes.
I understand.
So, I guess we can, I still like the idea of making it their own overlay airport with their own authority. Is that
Having
well
more of an
outside of
airport
our-
zone that has uses that are allowed.
Although I appreciate your point of view. I mean, if we're gonna allow it, or we're gonna recommend it to be allowed, then I think there should be some mitigating factors protecting those homes.
If I were in that home, I wouldn't want it. I don't live in one of those homes, but you have to put yourself in that point of view.
Steve, you don't have a lot of options once you have something on a use table to limit it. It can either be permitted, not permitted, or permitted with conditions.
Are you Mike when you're talking?
I'm just
Okay,
wishing we had a airport overlay that we could set.
more of an airport zone.
But I see the problem. I agree. I want to create a problem for people who live across the street from me. Do we have all the information we need tonight to make a decision on this?
The applicant's not here.
I'm leaning to vote no
I,
and make a recommendation to put an overlay or some other type of thing where it takes into account residential neighborhoods in that area.
We need another term other than overlay. We have an airport overlay zone that's more regards to the runway.
Jeremy, have they been in this facility, or is it they're moving into a facility?
I think his letter said they'd been there for 6 years, 8 years, something like that.
Well, they own it currently.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, and I can hear you better now.
The one question I have in terms of potential environmental impacts is he says he does composite work, and you got odors or whatever, could possibly some odors or whatever. And if he's already doing it, then he's a good neighbor, right? And might not be a problem. The other question I have is, it seems like we have a number of different options, and I'd like to know which one he wants in terms of application. And maybe I misunderstood what you said when he sent something else out today. I didn't see the email either.
It should have sent it, unfortunately. Send it to all of the planning commission members.
Yeah, I see it.
I would say that really shouldn't be part of the discussion tonight. When you get down to the use for what he wants to do with that property, we already have an application for a CUP, so he's putting that on hold, really to see if such a use, aircraft manufacturing in the commercial buffer zone, would be allowed.
Can we table it till he comes?
You can vote to continue this item to a date certain would be preferable.
And then, Blaine, I pulled up the email, so all it is the table, and it shows the proposed aircraft manufacturing repair C1, and then Exhibit B, the text amendment option, it says C3, light or minor aircraft manufacturing and repair. So to Jeremy's point, all it says is light or minor aircraft manufacturing and repair. So
Which is
like-
different from what's in the staff report.
Yeah, so it would be another option, and it's a whole another use.
But it's still manufacturing.
And it
Yes.
doesn't have a definition, it just says light or minor, so we'd have to go through that.
I'm inclined to maybe, I mean, this is the one opportunity we have to get it right in terms of this type of use in this use table. Is it permitted as a conditional? If it's conditional, what types of things are we concerned about in general with this type of use? And then we've got light manufacturing, we've got aircraft manufacturing and repair. I don't know that I'm ready to make a vote right now.
With the applicant's absence tonight, again, I'd recommend not speaking or asking if the applicant were here to ask so much his intentions of what he wants to do. Again, there's a whole separate review and application for that. And so the discussion tonight should be about the request, should aircraft manufacturing be allowed at the airport? And so then, again, we just have an issue of a private property within what some would consider to be the boundaries of the airport and is affected by the airport overlay zone already. And so the question is, can we take the applicant's request and can the Planning Commission make a recommendation for approval or denial that helps them to maybe realize what they're trying to achieve? And again, aircraft manufacturing on the airport.
But it's not just on the airport, it's in
It's
commercial
the-
buffer
any
zone,
property
like,
zone
that's what I
that-
wanna make
yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just apply to this property, I think that's my concern. If it were just this property, I think it'd be a little, well, I still feel bad for the houses, but.
Then I think a simple recommendation for denial gets that point across.
Because we do have a light manufacturing zone for light manufacturing.
Can we pull that up? Is it possible to pull that up on the map, just to see how close it is to houses?
You can also apply under a
He's-
CUP, right?
He did also apply it under a CUP, right, Jeremy?
Yes, true. The particular use he wanted is not permitted. Or what are we looking at?
Can we see the light manufacturing zone on the land map?
It's where Browning is.
The definition's here.
Oh, you want to see where the zone is on the map?
Yeah, on this map. Will
Can
you
you-
click it, highlight it?
Pull back out so we can see.
Let's see how close it is to houses, just.
Oh, not, yeah, over there, it's just
There's
fields.
no homes over
and
there.
Fields and,
Although you
Like-
got Rollins Ranch on the backside.
yeah, on the west of it.
Shoot, I didn't know you weren't able to follow me. Apologies.
That's okay.
I'm trying to just get it measurable. It's like 1,000 feet.
Okay.
And the definition of light manufacturing is to provide areas in appropriate locations where light manufacturing, industrial processes, and warehousing not producing objectionable effects may be established, maintained, and protected.
Doesn't that seem like that's what he's after?
Yeah.
But his request isn't for a reason.
Right.
Right. But did you see where Browning, she wants to see where Browning is.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right.
That's the old Browning building, the current campus as well.
I was just trying to see how close it was to houses.
Fairly close.
It's still close.
Just the opposite side of the airport.
Well, yeah, these homes are up on the hill, yeah.
That's fine.
This whole
I get the,
area
yeah, I
has
get
a
the
noise
concept.
easement.
Yeah.
Well, maybe before we go any further, we do have an agenda for public hearing, so we will at least do the public hearing now. So I am ready for a motion for the public hearing, to move into public hearing.
Good job for Maddie.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move into a public hearing.
I have a motion by Member Maloney,
Second.
a second by Member Bishop, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now is the time for the public. Seeing no one, I have a motion, ready for a motion to move out of public hearing.
Carry. Move that we move out of public hearing.
Motion by Member Bishop,
I second.
and a second by Member Maloney, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. We're out of public hearing. So we can recommend approval, we can recommend denial, or if you want to continue to our next meeting, which is next week.
I'd like to have the applicant here to talk to him. And is Josh going to be here next week, Jeremy?
Anticipating being here, yes.
Okay.
He's sick right now, so.
Anybody?
Question for staff. Jeremy, I guess this may be a dumb question, but looking at that, what is the benefit to them getting this text change? I guess it's a lot easier than them going for a rezone to become light manufacturing, correct?
Perhaps, or I think it can go either way. Again, just staff in their review found this to be a pretty simple request. They're looking to do what's already pretty much allowed on the airport.
Because light manufacturing would open it up to
Yeah, a lot.
all, yeah,
Yep.
lots of manufacturing.
Jeremy, so they
Ammunition
applied for a
designs.
conditional use permit. What they wanted was not allowed in this CB zone, correct?
Correct.
And so now they want to just, no, the hope is to just add this use as a permitted use with zoning administrator conditional use approval.
That was the original request. Staff provided another recommendation to make it in line with what C3. So.
C3 would go to the county commission.
More eyes on for something at the airport. Seems sensible.
So do we have a preference?
Well, I understand your point of view. I hadn't thought about it. In my opinion, we should probably either table or recommend denial.
I'm with Steve. I like those options.
Jeremy, what did I see that your option to C3? Is it in the staff report?
It's not.
Okay. That's what came out. That's what came out today.
It's the email.
I can pull it up.
We'll go before the commission either way, so
That's a fair point. Yep.
they can pick it up.
This will, yeah. If it were a C2, it would come to this body.
Correct. That's what is in your staff report. This is the option that we went today. It's all highlighted in bolding because it's a whole new row. Bolded in public commission could come up with a third option too. See the screen? I think I know why. I'm sorry, you didn't see what I'm seeing.
No, we don't. Thank you.
Television. So, sorry, you didn't see what I was seeing before. This is currently in the staff report, and it's just changing it to a C1. That is the request. Option B is to have a whole new route.
With these designations as a conditional use, does it behoove us to discuss concerns and possible mitigating factors in general, so that would be we could do that with each application?
At the CUP application,
Yeah.
which we do have one for when it comes before this body.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb.
I
but
guess
okay.
my question with tabling it, is it just that, so we can talk to the applicant or do more research, or I guess what's the take on tabling versus like recommending
I was
denial?
gonna make a motion to.
Oh, oh, I was asking a question.
And Matt, I think, will be coming back in.
Okay.
If you want
We don't
particular
have the
findings, you can
forms
start
here.
drafting them. That's something we've done in the past.
Well, it's just after the discussion last meeting where I felt pretty hamstrung in terms of being able to talk about mitigate issues and mitigating factors and all that. It seems to me that better to be prepared as much as you can. So,
It's just at the legislative level, and for something like a rezone, which this is changing code, so it's a legislative action. The intentions don't matter so much as much as just the merits of the request. And so, again, I have this pulled up so I can type, if you are going to be recommending one of these three options, I can type whatever you want to say before you say it, so you can read it verbatim. And it sounds like, the reason you would want to recommend denial to the county commission is because if you were to apply a whole new administrative way to do aircraft manufacturing in the commercial buffer zone, that it would be widespread across all, applicable zones. I mean, not applicable zones, but all CV zones in the county.
mm,
And so that would be, I believe, a valid finding of fact, and I'm happy to write something like that if you wanted me to
Okay.
read it verbatim. Or if you wanted to read it verbatim.
if the motion is for this option or some version of this second option, is noticing an issue?
No. All noticing requirements have been met.
Okay. I'm inclined to embrace this your suggestion, but at as a C2.
Brennan?
But I might defer to your help to
I-
come up with wording.
We're, tell me which option you're leaning towards.
I'm liking the light or minor aircraft manufacturing and repair
I see.
as a at a C2 in the CV zone.
Then I might lean towards this positive motion, because then you're really just kind of adjusting what staff came up with. And,
Okay.
don't-
You want
don't
to
stop.
stop me where I need correction and?
Well, and here, I'll write for it, so we can get rid of the butter. I'll make it. And again, you're not seeing what I'm seeing.
pretty good at thinking on your feet.
Does recommend work? No?
So Jeremy, you're saying if we did, which I don't know that I'm crazy about this idea, but that's in a minute. If we did approve or recommend approval of this light manufacturing, then Garrett and Janet would come up with the
Well,
tech
they get the legalese on point.
to define light manufacturing.
Yeah, and
In
you
the
could,
code.
that, you know what, that could be another finding from tonight.
Mhm.
Because I think that's maybe I'm just have some PTSD. But conditional use permits, my concern is, once they're in there, we cannot not approve them. And if they're super vague and broad, I think they can be very liberally interpreted.
It was a good learning experience, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, clearly defined.
It means you're gonna allow manufacturing of airplanes in commercial buffer if
Ok.
this is approved.
As a conditional use.
Well, it's gonna be.
That means that we shall approve.
Yeah, we can't deny it, right?
Unless-
Like, that's what we learned
Unless
last
you
week.
cannot mitigate a detrimental effect, which,
So that's concerning. If you're that house across the street, and there's other commercial buffer zones.
Mhm.
Get a Boeing in there.
So are we thinking that it's a more appropriate use, just our zone would be the light manufacturing zone, which would unlikely be approved for this parcel, for this act?
probably.
Well, if it's a C3, they're gonna look at it and do what they want anyway, so keep it C3 on the rest
But
of the
C2,
commission. They can change it anyway, I recommend we change it. So. I hate to see those people not be able to continue what they're doing.
Is he doing it now? He's not.
Well, it's not a,
Space.
He just got this process approved by underwriters and certain insurance companies.
I thought they were doing light manufacturing.
He said he's
Is
doing
there-
some composite work, which the question I had for him was that 10% that he's not outsourcing, what does that consist of?
Madam Chair, Judy's worked a little more with the applicant on this one, Director.
Okay, yes. She could be mic'd up, yep.
Okay, so right now, he is not manufacturing the parts that will attach the airplane there. He's manufacturing them off-site at another airport. Mostly what he will be doing there is just attaching them to the airplanes and maybe just a few minor adjustments to them. So it's not going to be the full manufacturing of the parts at this location.
So that he's not really manufacturing,
He is.
he's attaching.
He's assembling. It's
He's
manufacturing.
assembling, yeah.
That's basically your definition of light manufacturing. I think we're again trying to push a square peg round hole kind of thing, and I don't like that at all. I'd rather try to create an industrial zone that we could set up a manufacturing facility, or he could set up a manufacturing facility and do it, which would maybe expand on the Browning side. I don't know who owns property over there. I haven't researched any of it, but it goes back to our resort from the last meeting, that we're again somebody's living permanently there. It sits wrong with me.
So you see where the hangars are, just up there. This place sits right by the hangars. The only difference is that it's private property, not part of the airport. But there are airplane type manufacturing stuff that goes on in the hangars.
There's airplane maintenance, yes.
Yes, that goes on in the hangars that are in the same zone. The only difference why he can't is because he's a private property owner. It's not owned by the airport.
There's a difference of doing repair work 9 to 5 and having 2 shifts or 3 shifts as a manufacturer. I know he doesn't, but
Yeah.
as soon as we approve it as a light manufacturing, do we have to put stipulations of hours of work? I wouldn't want to be there if I was a manufacturer. I'd want to be someplace that.
That's debated at the CUP level, at the CUP application.
What about if we just change it to maintenance instead of manufacturing? Because what you're saying, see,
He's in maintenance. I mean, he's manufacturing.
He
but
wants to
what
make
you're
the
saying
parts.
currently is happening at the airport is maintenance, not manufacturing. In these other airplane hangars, you're not saying it's manufacturing, it's maintenance. So that's what we currently
Yes,
allow.
he is not manufacturing the parts at this location. All he will be doing at this location is attaching them, assembling them to the airplanes.
So I think she has a good point for you added wording saying assembling.
Assembling and maintenance, and not manufacturing.
I like that idea.
Because that seems quieter.
Yeah, a lot quieter.
Well, but the thing about it is, if we don't define it, then our hands are tied, and any kind of manufacturing could be.
No, I'm saying take out the word manufacturing.
Right, but if we don't, then the door's wide open for somebody else. If we don't take out the manufacturing, because it sounds to me like with this, but I keep having to remind myself that we're not acting on his application, we're acting on a global, countywide, this is own application, and I wouldn't be inclined to deny that specific request.
Assembly versus manufacturing.
Manufacturing.
I guess, but then you could also argue to Matt's point is making a part, assembling a part.
Well, I think assembling is a lot less intense use than manufacturing, in theory.
Taking parts and putting them on something else rather than.
Yeah, that's
creating
assembling, to me,
melting-
that's assembling, yeah.
melting metal.
Yeah.
Do you have the wording that you'd like to use, Matt? You just want to change the title to.
Yeah,
or
I want to
recommend
take
they
out
change the title.
manufacturing and I would do assembling and maintenance. So for the other hangars, they're currently under that airport zoning. Do we have what they're allowed? Can we pull up that code? Try to copy that, like what that's allowable there in
Not
terms of
quickly.
maintenance?
Not quickly, I can do that tonight.
Okay.
Like,
Because
county
I think that's a
attorney-
fair point, right? Like he is in that airport overlay. He's just a private property owner, so he should, I think, have the same rights as the other hangar owners.
What was it that got him sideways with the CB zone, with what he wanted?
Submitting a CUP and then that being like not recommended for approval by the office of by the planning office.
But you know what it was that the objection was at the office with what he wanted?
I couldn't relay that. Just that it didn't, when it comes to our use table, there's only so many uses defined, and if it doesn't fall into one of these uses, then automatically it's not permitted. Closest one was aircraft manufacturing and repair, which had dash. I didn't get to it.
Not permitted.
There you go. Just because of that, his request would be for a CUP.
Gotcha.
I'm happy to add or subtract or go with a different motion, whatever you prefer. Commissioner Murray, if you're still the one wanting to make it.
They talked me out. They browbeat me out of
They
it.
flipped.
Yeah, they did.
So are we, in essence, saying we're going to, this is a question for Debbie, are we in essence saying that we're going to recommend to the commission that they change the use table, or is that our prerogative?
But we recommend to them.
And then they'll turn around and recommend that we put the wording to it, or the staff, I guess.
Well, we should kind of put the wording, we should recommend what wording we
I agree.
want.
I guess what I'm saying back to you, though, is we're recommending to the county commission to ask us to do this, right?
Right. I've got an answer for Maddie. It's called commercial aeronautical activity on the airport. You have the fixed base operator, air taxi, charter operation, pilot training, aerial photography and surveying, aerial application of chemicals, aerial advertising, goes on. I'll get to the maintenance and repair of aircraft. But it says no person shall conduct a commercial activity of any nature that is based on or operated from the county airport unless the conduct of that activity has been approved by the county commission. So is there a way to tie it as put him as part of the overlay, and then the county commission would approve? We won't have to change our code. Is that making sense? I was reading from the airport overlay.
That wouldn't give him what
So-
he wants, though, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it's not allowing commercial use, right? It's saying that it's only repair, doesn't allow assembly.
And maintenance. I mean, there's kind of more generic.
There was a line that if conditional use to approve it, so what they were saying is let's put it for the airport.
Totally. I'm just saying that wouldn't give the applicant what he wants.
So from,
And I'd rather change the
But I'm okay with
code
that.
of the airport overlay zone if necessary, rather than change the land use code. That's making sense?
well, and I think the second step would then be incorporate, and I'm not sure why the fact that he was private ownership, why he was excluded from being part of the overlay zone. But it seemed to me that he should be able to allow similar uses as everybody else, even if he's not in the overlay zone, as is taking place there now, or allowed, than our base zoning. Right.
Yeah.
Which is where he is, right, so from his.
Pretty much, yeah, he's,
I think I'm ready to make a recommendation, or motion.
Do you want me to add anything, Madam Chair, to your point?
no, I'll have to see what direction Member Murray's going in.
Sounds good.
Okay. Madam Chair, I that's for a positive.
I can change it.
I think I can read this right here. Okay. I move that we make a negative recommendation to the county commission to amend Morgan County Code Section 155.132, use regulations, and to me, that the proposed use, the addition of this use to the use table is too intense to be able to be applied county-wide for all properties with that similar zone, irrespective of what's going on around them.
I didn't catch what you said, but I was catching it.
Yeah,
Looks
just
pretty
as
good.
That looks good.
Yeah. Do you want me to reread it?
No,
It's too broadly applicable to properties within the city zoning.
We can catch them in
Yeah, that's
stone.
probably, you need to get rid of
it-
the other ones.
Too intense and too.
One and
Yep.
two.
Yeah.
Should crop those. I'll second that.
Or do we want to make a finding that this parcel be included within the airport overlay zone?
It'd be separate, wouldn't it? Be separate.
Do we need a separate
Separate.
We can just add the finding.
whether a separate motion or part of this
With
motion?
with the following correction, and then with the finding. I can type it
I think this is good for this
This-
application.
And you want to make another motion
Or not.
or not?
Why is
Okay.
it bad to put the finding on this? I don't understand that.
Well, my
You need a
thing-
finding if you're going to.
Well, and I think this finding is.
I think the proposed addition to the table, that's the finding, right?
Okay.
That, well, it,
I don't
yeah,
think
that's the finding.
It's right there.
That's right there, yeah.
I second that.
You did great.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Murray and a second by Member Maloney. So, any discussion on this motion? Do y'all understand? Okay,
So, just because I'm slow, you recommended a negative recommendation?
To
or
add,
positive?
yeah, to add that to the specific.
You're not
one.
saying you're recommending a negative recommendation, are you?
No, it should be a negative.
we forward a negative recommendation,
Yes, it's,
It says
or we can recommend
no, it says,
denial.
look at the top of that, but that says motion for positive.
Yeah.
We can forward a yeah.
Yeah, so this recommendation speaks to adding this use, aircraft manufacturing, repair, anywhere, right? I'm not speaking to this particular parcel or
Okay.
use, just.
Commercial
county.
buffer zones. Yep.
But what we're really, what we are recommending negative to this, whatever the, I don't have it in front of me, his application.
I don't think that's before us. I think just,
It's just a
he's
slight
asking for
change.
the text amendment, he's not asking for any approvals relative to his
Totally, yeah.
application, is that right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Different.
This is text amendment
Okay.
to change the code. So are we all in agreement? So,
Maybe as a separate discussion after this is how we can help this
Okay.
gentleman with what he wants to do, if we can, if it's appropriate.
so all in favor of the negative recommendation? Say
Aye.
aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, unanimous. Do you want? We ready to move on to business and staff questions? The first thing before we kind of want to address what we are talking about, but in the first thing in business, I need a motion. We need to move our December 5th meeting to the 12th. Originally, December 12th would have been our regular meeting, the second Thursday. We had moved it up to December 5th, but now we are unable to get the auditorium on December 5th for our meal. Usually have a Christmas dinner with spouses. And so since we were unable to reserve the building on the 5th, we need a motion to move our meeting back to December 12th.
So moved.
I have a motion by Member Murray to move the meeting from December 5th to December 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Member Bishop. All in favor?
Aye.
Voting is unanimous. And so if you can RSVP to Judy.
Did you get?
So. Any other business now to discuss? Do we want to discuss on how to address the airport situation? Or do we want to wait till Josh is here, maybe have a discussion with him?
So like what would you propose that we ask Josh to do, like just to look at? Are you asking him to look at?
About moving this parcel to be part of the airport overlay zone.
And again, Joshua's the one with the idea to do minor light manufacturing. Perhaps this could be even headed off with an email directly to the county commission, just explaining the discussion tonight and just saying, well, there's a request for a rezone, but perhaps a new zone should be looked at applicable to the airport directly. Whatever,
Okay.
an email directly to that body would save some time. And good
It's already
discussion.
its own overlay, right, with uses that are.
It's defined with something like an agreement.
So basically, the section that Debbie read, it talks about repair, other things, training. It just add the language in there that would say light manufacturing.
Or
And that
whatever.
would basically get rid of, or not get rid of, solve this gentleman's problem. And then confine it to the airport area.
That may or may not help the applicant.
It could be airplane modification.
Why do you say it wouldn't?
We didn't find that during our review. We just looked at the underlying zoning, and that's where we found the friction, the fact that it wasn't allowed. All I'm saying is I don't know.
Okay. If he's in the zone for the airport, then it probably would.
If it said light manufacturing and that's what we were just gonna make as a conditional use.
Yeah, so it'd be for that.
Yeah.
So from a, I mean, basically we have this little island, right? His little parcel that's surrounded by airport overlay zoned property land uses, right? Do we know if he would be inclined to be enrolled into that zoning district? If that zoning district included light manufacturing of those types of things?
I don't know the answer to that question, and if such a offering were to be given to the applicant, maybe it wouldn't work for him, and he could say no, and that wouldn't help him either.
That to me seems like the best
Right.
solution. It solves a bunch of, at least perceived problems with.
I'll just say this, I think the planning commission has fulfilled their role very well tonight, brought up really good things for discussion that, if not continued in discussions with this body, will be addressed at the county commission level. With at least the county attorney present, perhaps the airport manager could be present, really help us nuance this, and again, I think you all have fulfilled your charge very effectively tonight. So again, they'll be packaged up into minutes and summaries, and this discussion will continue, and you can be at that discussion too.
So then is the next step, because you said the applicant filled out a CUP, will that come to us as well?
Yes.
Okay, so then
Yes.
maybe we reopen that discussion when the applicant's here with that.
Well, if
No.
it's approved as a C1 CUP, then no, it wouldn't.
If it doesn't get approved at the
But
commission.
it'll be reviewed, is what I should say.
C1 would work, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
C2 would come to us.
Come to us.
C3 would go to.
Commission.
county
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to talk a little bit about Nine Springs Resort. My old business partner was in development of Park City. And so he sent me a bunch of stuff this afternoon, which I haven't had a chance to look at either. But supposedly, to create your own city, you have to be greater than 3 miles from another city, and you have to have a certain population.
They're doing,
It's
it's
a
a
preliminary
preliminary.
municipality. The legislation went into effect May 1st. It's completely administrative. It's at the lieutenant governor, and they actually were not incorporated in Mountain Green. So they're completely fair to do that. And they don't have to have a population or a vote because it's preliminary. So essentially, they just have to bond and say they'll have 100 people within 4 years in the first phase of their zoning. Yeah, I've done a lot of research on it in the last week.
So
And if it gets approved, essentially, there's nothing we can do at the county level. It's now with the lieutenant governor, and they'll go through a feasibility study. And there'll be time for public hearing, but there will not be a vote because there's no residences currently there. It's just if they meet the criteria, one of them's affordable housing, able to provide water and sewer and fire. But this is actually the first preliminary municipality that's been submitted to the state since this legislation went into effect, May 1st.
Who sponsored that legislation?
What was curious, it actually passed unanimously. The only person who voted against it was Kara Birkeland, which is one of our representatives, which I out, was curious.
Green, by the way.
What?
She lives in Mountain Green.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she lives.
She
Yeah.
had no idea this was coming to Mountain Green, but she voted against it.
But we did talk about this. I think, I don't know if you weren't here last meeting, we talked about it. They have not pulled out of the application process with the county. So the three of us are on a private work group as well, and we're still going through that process. No,
No, there's no meeting has been set up.
not yet. And then 2 commissioners will be on it as well. So they're still going through the county process, correct, Jeremy?
I don't know what they're doing.
They haven't formally pulled out.
No,
Yeah.
and the county hasn't closed their application either.
Do you know when the public hearing is?
It hasn't been set. They submitted their feasibility study and their documents to the lieutenant governor on September 18th, was the day they were dated. There is no further, it's on, I can send you the website and you can look at all. I think what's unique about this, because I've done a decent amount of research into it, is because it's the first one, there's not really a precedent for it happening in the past. Like Ogden Canyon's going through the process right now for Huntsville and Eden.
Huntsville wants.
Yeah, and they have votes because they have residences and a lot of supporting documents. But even though there's a public hearing, there's no appeal, there's no vote. So essentially, it's all administrative. If they meet these check boxes, then they will be a city. And there's nothing in there about slope studies. There was no hydrology. It's very, very broad. So. I've done a lot of homework on this. Because it's also in my backyard.
So there will be a public input, right? Even though there's no vote, they will still have the benefit of.
Listening to the public, but if their application meets code.
Criteria, there's no vote, and it's essentially like with us, we can't deny things if they meet all the things, right? So if they say they can bond and they can provide all the necessary things, if they do.
So why even have a public hearing?
I think it's maybe to bring forth any information that maybe they're not meeting the requirement. That you have some information to say, no, that's not accurate. Yeah.
But they do have a third-party feasibility study. So they'll come in and say, tax basis, water, sewer, fire, police, things like that. But it's my understanding the legislation is very broad from how I've interpreted it. And I also asked some attorney friends as well. Who do land use. So we could have a city in our backyards.
Using our roads.
Yes. Ingress and egress would be through existing county roads. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, I woman-splained a little bit there.
Thank you.
So you said woman's one?
Yeah.
Heard mansplained? I woman-splain a lot.
I just did.
Any more questions for staff? For business? Okay, then ready for motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, I move we approve the minutes from our September 26th meeting.
A motion by Member Bishop to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Member Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Where's our adjournment motion?
So moved.
Motion by Member Bishop, a second by Member Murray. All in favor?
Aye.